Well, hello, and welcome, Dixie Belle paint fans. How are you today? It is Melissa coming to you live from the dining room floor where we get together every Wednesday at 3 p.m. and play with paint. So welcome. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Melissa. I'm the owner and artist here at the Drawer RVA located in Richmond, Virginia. I'm also a Dixie Belle brand ambassador. So I have a kind of different project. Usually I take you guys from step one to done, but I want to do decoupage paper today. So in order to do the decoupage paper today that I have picked out for us to play with, I had to paint and finish a piece. But don't worry, I got you. I got you. If you head on over to my Pinterest, I actually did do Pinterest slides on this entire piece from start to finish. It's a cutie little end table, painted 100% in Anchor silk paint. And I will go over all the details with that piece as well. But we're gonna have some fun with stencils and decoupage today because a little birdie told me that the decoupage paper is gonna be restocked very soon. Very soon. If you know the decoupage paper here at Dixie Belle, this was released a couple weeks ago and it sold out lickety-split quick. So unless you have the availability to find your local retailer, which you can, if you click that little link above my head, you can find your local retailer and see if they have it in stock. If they don't, do not fret because it will be in stock very soon. I'm hoping by the end of the week. Don't hold me to that, but I know that it's coming back soon, okay? So the paper we're gonna play with today is called the Floral Ballerina. Have you seen this one yet? It's kind of really like my new jam. It's really pretty. It's very girly. I never used to paint girly, and now all I'm doing is painting pinks and girly. I don't know what's happened to me. It's crazy. So this paper actually comes in one large sheet, and I've already cut the image into two, and we're going to actually use both, and I'm going to teach you a different way today of doing decoupage that's not like a traditional style. We're going to be ripping the paper and blending the paint together because I think online the thing that I see most that people struggle with decoupage is the edge. So what to do if your paper doesn't fit like the whole space? What to do if your paper's a different color than the piece you painted? So you can see on the edge of this paper, it's actually not a true black, okay? This is like a kind of a blackish gray, and because this is rice paper, you can see the fibers there on the back. The paper takes on different values and it's not a true black. But since I painted this table as a base in Anchor, which is Dixie Belle's silk paint line, the truest black that they have, I've done 2 even coats and it looks so beautiful. Silk paint, look, it just glows. Honestly, it just glows. We're gonna learn today how to blend your paint into your decoupage paper. So if you've been struggling with that, hang with me because we're gonna do it together. We're also gonna get out some stencils today because this is another way to add layers to your piece, add depth, add dimension, and blend those lines so it actually just disappears. So that paper looks like it was like meant to be there. So today we'll be using the Victorian Damask stencil, which is again one of the newest Mylar stencils from Dixie Belle. This is in stock currently, and it is very pretty. I've used it probably 3 times in the past 2 weeks, and I love it. So who wants to play with some paint? You all ready? Should we dive right in? So it's technically not going to be like a full paint on a piece because I'm going to aim you down so you can see what I've done so far, okay? This little end table has been painted in 2 even coats of silk paint. You can see that gorgeous glow. Silk paint has that beautiful mildew resistant finish. It has a built-in primer. It has a built-in top coat. This little table was like really red cherry wood, and you get absolutely 0 bleed when you use silk paint. You paint on your 2 silk paint coats, okay? Waiting 2 hours in between coats of paint because this paint dries a little bit different than your regular chalk mineral paint, okay? It's kind of like a thinner value. And when it dries in a different way than chalk mineral paint, and it takes that full 2 hours to kind of cure up in between coats of paint. My favorite brush to use with my silk paint is always my Scarlet. Scarlet brush fits in perfectly, fits in here exactly perfect. And this like eliminates the brush strokes. This paint is also self-leveling. You know how many comments I got in the past day about this piece saying, hey, you don't have any brush strokes. Do you spray your paint? I'm like, I do not. It's just silk paint. It's like magic. So when you use silk paint, it eliminates those brush strokes. It gives you that beautiful silky finish. It has that built-in top coat. When you're done, you walk away. What also you're gonna see is that when you touch your dry black silk mineral paint, you're not getting that white chalky finish that sometimes you find on regular chalk mineral paint pieces. So if you're painting in caviar or aubergine, or any of those dark colors, and you were to touch it without sealing it, you would leave a chalky finish. This paint does not do that. It leaves a beautiful, glossy, kind of like glowing finish to it. I absolutely love it. It's my go-to for all my darks now. So this is what I did to that piece. We painted 2 even coats of Anchor onto this piece. So you want to know the plan? You want to hang out with me and do the plan? The plan today is to take the ballerina image, because this decoupage paper is 2 papers put together in one package, okay? And like I said, if you're tuning in late, I know it's sold out currently. Hang tight, it's coming back. What you need to do is go to the website, click that link above my head, go type in the ballerina paper, okay? You can type in ballerina and it'll pop right up. There's gonna be a little box right there that says, hey, put your email in here. We'll remind you when this comes back in stock. And I guarantee it's gonna be soon, okay? Fingers crossed. I swear, it'll be very, very soon. So what we're gonna do is add the ballerina to the top of this piece on the right-hand side, because I don't like things to be centered. I don't like things to be perfect. Then on the bottom 2 drawers, we're gonna actually take this image, cut it in half, and kind of rip out the flower. So this image will go on the bottom 2 drawers, all right? So for now, we're gonna start on the top, and we're gonna bring this table in nice and close. I'm gonna chop off my head, but this way you guys are gonna be able to see every single thing that I'm doing from start to finish when it comes to decoupage, and you're gonna learn, all right? Let's take you up a tiny bit and aim you down. Okay, so this table has not been sealed. This is 2 even coats of silk paint in Anchor, okay? That's all that's on here. Nothing, there's nothing else on here. I've lined these beautiful drawers with wrapping paper inside, and I've painted the original hardware in gold spray paint, okay? So this is gonna be a romantic, beautiful piece. So when you open your decoupage paper and you see the edges of your sheet, there is a white edge to your sheet. See that? That must stay there, that's part of the printing, and they need that on there. You're gonna come in, all I've done so far is cut off the white edge of my paper. So now, when you're looking at this paper right here, you see the paper, and you see that, hey, that's pretty close, right? This Anchor color is pretty close to the ballerina, because this kind of surrounding area is like a smoky, kind of a black gray. I'm gonna show you a way to blend this even easier, okay? So, when you have decoupage paper and you have rice decoupage paper, it's a little bit thicker in value. It doesn't tear as easy, but it gives you a beautiful edge, okay? We're gonna tear around this ballerina. We're gonna tear her image out. We're going to adhere it to the piece with clear coat. And then after it dries, I have my heat gun if it doesn't dry fast enough, we're gonna paint her in. I'm gonna show you how to make those edges disappear. You will no longer have a problem of like, hey, I can tell that that's a decoupage image. We're going to make it look beautiful on the piece. Sound like a plan? Cool, hi there, how are you? I see some people watching. Let's jump right in. Okay, so this edge, there's a small little lip to the table. I'm going to position this paper just like this along this edge. I don't mind this edge being very straight, because that little lip right here is going to disguise the edge of the paper. Now, you have 2 options. I could start tearing here, or I could start tearing here. I think I want to keep this edge, so I'm going to start a little bit over here, and we're going to start to tear this paper, okay? So by tearing this paper down and around, we're going to start to create a more organic edge to our paper, okay? You don't want to tear your little pretty ballerina. Keep your fingers where she is, okay? So by tearing this edge, what's happening is you're going to get a more organic feel to what's happening on the top of your table. If I took my scissors and cut it, perfect, what's going to happen is you're going to really see that precise line. I don't want to see that. I don't like straight, pretty lines. I just don't want that. So we're going to rip it all the way over, okay? So now you have this piece, which we're not going to use anymore. This is kind of that edge of that smoky ballerina, right? We're gonna take her back, and now you can see that her edge has been ripped. So yes, there's little white bits here because this rice paper has fibers in it, right? This rice paper actually has fibers in it, making it almost like a cloth versus a really thin tissue paper. It gives it a little bit more strength, okay? Which is good for you, because have you ever worked with tissue paper? It's really hard. Okay, so now when I look at her, I go, you know what? I don't really like this corner. Let's bring it down even more. There we go. Now, I want to put her pretty much on the edge here. Remembering that we're gonna paint her in. So all of these edges are gonna get new coats of paint because we're gonna paint her into the piece. So, tabletop, decoupage paper, beautiful ballerina, ripped edge, an organic fashion, because I don't want a straight cut line, all right? So how do you stick this on here? How do you put this on your piece? Well, you have a couple different options, okay? Clear coat, for me, works the best. Now, do you want to finish your table in a shiny manner? If you wanted a shiny table, use gator hide. If you wanted a shiny table, you can use satin. I don't want any shine because I actually just want to seal her down, get her on the piece, and then what's going to happen is I'm going to paint over top of her. So I want her to disappear onto this corner, right? So in order for me to get her to disappear, I'm going to be using flat clear coat today, all right? So I'm going to open this up. That lid was not on tight and I was shaking it around. I'm not going to tell you how many times I've shaken my paint and thrown it all over the whole place. More often than you need to know. All right, I have a paper plate here, plastic plate. I'm going to pour my clear coat out, okay? You don't need a ton of clear coat. You're not going to use that much. I'm going to use the same plate for the front as well. But I like to put it on a plate because if you start dipping your brush into that clear coat, right, and you get some junk on here, you're going to put all that junk back in your clear coat, and you don't want to do that. I mean, I want to save that. It's good stuff. So, how do I put my paper on? Well, first of all, I'm going to take it off, and I'm going to put my clear coat onto the piece. I like my Scarlet brush for this job. The reason I like my Scarlet brush is the fact that this is a smooth synthetic brush, all right? Let's see, you love that decoupage paper? Listen, go to the site, put your email address in, they'll notify you when it's back in stock. I promise it's gonna be like very, 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 very soon. Due to the ink shortage because of COVID, they haven't been able to print them as fast, but they are coming back lickety split quick, I swear. So go to the website, go to the Ballerina decoupage paper, and type in your email address to be notified when she comes back in stock, because it's not going to be a huge number of papers, it's just going to be a little number of papers, okay? So you want to get it while it's hot, right? Get it while it's hot. So you're going to take your Scarlet, or you're going to take your favorite synthetic brush, but for decoupage, this one is always my favorite. Abby says she's got it. You find something to use for it, I promise. Go to the thrift store, find yourself a cute little table. You should check out AJ from AJ's Vintage Designs. She did a beautiful set of tables. So pretty, super gorgeous. And she used both sets of paper as well. She's the flowers and the ballerina. So I'm going to take my clear coat. I'm going to apply it to the table, helter skelter. Doesn't matter if it's perfect or not, because I'm going to be putting my paper right over top of this. It doesn't need to be a ton of product, y'all. It doesn't, because I'm going to show you my second step. And I'm not like the best decoupager, but this is the easiest way that I've found that it works for me, okay? Don't sleep on this either. Don't like put this down and walk away, because it's going to dry and you need it wet to put your paper on. So I'm going to put my paper now on my piece. Your paper is able to move a little bit, okay? You can put this down and pick it up. This is where the Dixie Belle's rice paper differs from a lot of the other decoupage papers that I have used before, because I have used papers before where you put them down, and let me tell you, where you put it down, it's going to stay, because if you touch it, it's going to rip. This will not rip. This is strong paper, okay? So now it's on here. I like to kind of take my hand and kind of smooth it out a little bit. I'm going to take my brush, and I'm going to get my spray misting bottle. Spray misting bottle filled with water. Where are you? You're right here on my caddy. Okay, now here's where I do things a little different. I like a really wet decoupage finish because I want to get all those air bubbles out. I'm going to start in the middle, and I'm going to start to push all of these bubbles out of the piece, okay? By pushing them out from the middle, you're not going to have any air on your piece. So again, with my clear coat, and again with my spray misting bottle, just kind of keeping it more wet than it needs to be. I'm just really pushing. I'm pushing from the middle out, getting all of these air bubbles, any of the wrinkles gone. Okay, so here's another little thing you're gonna notice with this paper. It becomes a little bit translucent when you put it on your piece, okay? Don't panic. It will dry, and when it dries, it will be lighter, okay? Your image will come back up. You're gonna see that image kind of come back to life once it gets a little bit more dry on your furniture. It just takes that little time to get kind of back to its true color. Can you see how smoothly this is going on? Do you see any air bubbles? No air bubbles, no big wrinkles. It's just going straight down onto my table. Remembering, starting with that brush, brushing it from the middle out. And the clear coat has like that milky color to it, but it dries clear. Don't be scared of clear coat looking all milky, because it's just an optical illusion. It'll go away, I promise. Okay, so I'm making sure that my ends are down. If you did this and you came back to it and you went, yikes, my ends, they're sticking up, you can always add more clear coat. It's not gonna hurt it. You can totally do that. So I'm just coming down here, making sure all of my ends are clear coated down onto the piece. Okay, so now my ballerina is on there, okay? I'm gonna see if I can pick you up and show you even a little closer. There are no air bubbles, right? She's nice and smooth on there. Right now, she's wet. So her colors are not very true, okay? The clear coat is milky, it will dry clear, but for now, she needs to dry. We're gonna let her hang out, and we're gonna work on the bottom 2 drawers. If you're tuning in late, the only thing on this piece is Anchor silk paint, and that is allowing me to come in here and put her on. When she dries, I'm gonna teach you how to paint her in so that she disappears, and your decoupage paper is gonna look so good, so good. So let's work down here, okay? So now I'm gonna get my paper, get my clear coat, get settled, and bring you down here so that we can do a little decoupage in the front drawers, okay? And then I have a question for you, because there's a question that I just haven't decided yet what I'm gonna do for this. We'll come back to her in a few minutes. She has to get dry. So the other part of the paper, right? Because this paper has 2 images on it. 2 images in one package. If you're tuning in late, the paper that I'm using is called the Floral Ballerina. It is sold out online right now, but go click that link above my head, go type in Floral Ballerina, put your name in to be reminded when it's gonna come back in stock, because it's gonna be soon, 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 soon. And if you are the first to know, you can be the first to buy it before it sells out again, right? Gotta jump on these things. COVID shortage, I need my stuff. I need things to play with. All right, so this is the other part of the image. You can see the white line, right? This white kind of line on the edge. I'm not gonna need that part, but here's the thing. See how this paper on the bottom 2 drawers is not big enough, right? It's not big enough to go either end. I mean, it's awful close. It's real close, but we're not wide enough to cover the entire drawer. So here's where people run into problems, okay? People run into problems when it comes to edges of the paper. They feel like it looks fake because decoupage paper is just sitting on top of the surface. So we're gonna paint it in. So the first thing I'm gonna do is cut off the white edges, all right? Because you don't want these, I'm not even gonna cut them off because we're gonna rip it. You don't want these white edges. So I'm gonna cut it in half. And I'm not even gonna be like perfect. We're gonna just come in here and cut this in half, because this paper is going to go on 2 bottom 2 drawers, okay? All right, so I've cut my paper. Let's see if I can bring you down even more. Yikes, taking you for a ride. I need like I need a cameraman. Where's my cameraman when I need one? Okay, so all I've done is cut my paper in half. You're seeing this drawer, right? It has 2 coats of dried Anchor on top of it. It's all that's on there, nothing else. Doesn't that paint look nice? So nice, right? So what I want to do is know that I'm going to put this image on this drawer. Well, how am I going to blend it in so that it looks like it's supposed to be there? How am I going to do that? I'm going to rip the edges. Remember how we ripped the edges of the ballerina to make it more organic? I'm going to come in here and kind of rip around the bloom. Is it going to be perfect? No way, Jose. Is it going to make my edges disappear when I paint her in? Yes, yes it will. There's a blue flower. I want to keep that blue flower. I want to take this one down and I want to bring it over. Don't stress out about this stuff, y'all. This is not hard. This is just the easy way. So here's my one image, okay? That's going to go here with my torn edges because we're going to paint it in. Here's the other half of the image that's going to go on the bottom drawer, and I'm going to do the same thing to this one. I'm going to come in and I'm going to tear around the edges of the flower because when we paint it in, which we're going to do today live, those edges will disappear. All right, there we go. So now I've ripped my edges, okay? So this image here, this image here. Let's start with the top one. Remembering that you're going to put down your flat clear coat or your choice of satin clear coat, whatever your options are that you choose. And I'm just going to put it on the drawer. Okay, there it is. It's on the drawer. Yikes, I'm going to spill my clear coat. I need something to put this on. Let's put it on there. So now I'm going to take my paper, all right, and I'm going to start at the top because this paper can actually go all the way around this whole drawer. We're going to like wrap it. We're going to wrap it around the drawer. Again, starting in the middle, right? Because when you start in the middle, you're able to push all your air bubbles out. How are we doing? Can you still see? We're good. We're good. Okay. So here's my clear coat starting in the middle, brushing that paper from the middle outwards. Okay. I'm going to just wrap this drawer. You can actually do the inside edge as well, or you can wait until it's completely dry and then you can just actually sand off the rest of the image. Either way is going to work just fine. I want to bring it up and wrap this drawer because we're going to paint in this image to the piece. So clear coat it on. You can feel at the bottom here, kind of come in around the bottom. You can cut it if you feel like it's too big, but really it's not. The only part it might get a little bit close to is my track, but I could easily sand that off. So pushing your paper, this is how the scarlet gets right in there. Gets right into those edges. See that little crease on the drawer? And just allows you to push all that air out. Because you see this little crease? You can run your finger in there if you want, your fingernail, making sure that you're getting a really good close connection with your paper and your piece. So here we are. I'm just going to seal it up under here. I'm actually going to wait till it's dry on the bottom and I can just sand that off. So for now, I'm just going to tuck it up under. You're not going to see it. We'll sand it off when it is dry. Okay, so here's one image on my drawer. Looks terrible, right? I know it looks terrible. Trust me. I have a process. I know how these things go. There is always an ugly stage. So this one little drawer is going to go here. I'm going to start at the bottom drawer. We're going to pull this open. Remember, this is going to go over here. I can actually cut the bottom part of this off. This is really big. There's no need to have this much paper. Because it's going to disappear on the bottom. So this is the second sheet from the ballerina, right? So there's my image. I'm not even going to line it up perfectly because I don't care. This is just going to get painted on the edges to adhere to the piece. We're going to blend it in. I know that the color of the image looks fairly dark right now. Don't be scared. The image itself will dry and it will be a little bit lighter than the image is right now. Okay? Now I'm going to take my paper. I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to, remember, start in the middle and push those air bubbles out. I know if I'm missing your questions and comments, don't worry. I'll come back in after my video is all finished and answer them. I always do. I know I might miss something, but I also have very smart people that watch my lives that tend to know a lot of the answers as I'm working. So if any of those smart people would love to hop in and be my moderator and answer those questions for me, I always appreciate that help. It's always helpful to have you smarty pants on here, knowing the answers to what I'm doing. So I'm using my clear coat and my scarlet. I like to kind of wet my brush. Remember, I don't like a really heavy, thick clear coat. I just like it to be a little bit thinner, and I'm working it out from the middle. Working it out from the middle allows you to get rid of those edges and bubbles and any lines that might stay. Okay, so now we have our ballerina on the top. We have our flowers on the drawer. I'm already sitting on the floor. Do you guys want me to just dry this as much as I can with the dryer? And then, because that one's equally as wet. And then we're gonna paint her in. We're gonna paint it in here, right? I'm gonna show you how to make these edges disappear. So I have my heat gun on the floor. Let's blast it and see what happens. Let's see how dry we can get these edges so that we can start painting this piece in. So this piece is being painted in 2 coats of Anchor Silk Paint. Anchor Silk Paint is Dixie Belle's best built-in top coat and primer paint. It gives you this beautiful sheen. It's mildew resistant, and it has just like a really great look for one color painting. Blending with silk is a little bit harder, but it is doable. I've done it before. You just need to know that you need to work while your paint is wet, okay? You're not using a spray misting bottle. You don't want to devalue and change the actual properties of this paint. You just want to keep it as is. So right now I'm just drying my decoupage papers on the edges so that I can get the true color to kind of pop out. I will come back in here when this is actually 100% dry and sand off this bottom lip. The top lip I folded over and decoupage to the inside of the drawer. Let's see, you have a desk wanting the same look. Well, then this is your lucky day. You get to hang out with me and learn how to blend your paper in. So don't worry, when this dries 100%, I can easily take my sandpaper and gently wipe off that bottom piece of paper. This piece will come right off. You'll have a really great sanded edge. It's easy peasy. So I'm just drying my edges, drying my edges. Because when this paper is dry, see how much lighter it's getting? See how much lighter this edge is turning versus before it was really dark, it was really muted. The paper does dry lighter when it's not wet. Let's try this little end over here, and we are good to go. Okay, so now this is where we're gonna get a little arts and crafts going on. You wanna hang out and do some arts and crafts? So on the floor, I have the original color of the piece, silk, all-in-one Anchor, okay? And I'm actually gonna use the little plate that I have on the floor to blend some paint colors. So let me just soak up some of this clear coat that I have left on here, because I don't need it all on there. I could just use one of these ends of this little plate for my blending, right? Okay, so original color is Anchor in silk. I'm going to take Anchor. I'm going to go with the next lightest color in silk, black, which is called Black Sands. I'm going to open up all of these paints on the floor and tell you as I open them so that you know what I am using at what time, okay? So Anchor is black, Black Sands is more gray. I also have Hampton Olive and a couple colors in chalk mineral paint, okay? So the chalk mineral paint that I picked out today on the floor as a happy medium is chocolate. The reason why I chose chocolate is to make these edges of black kind of mesh together and turn it in a little bit more brown, okay? So because my piece has already been painted in Anchor, I'm just getting paint all over the place. Because it's been painted in silk all-in-one, there's no bleed through on my piece of furniture, right? There's no problems with that red cherry wood coming through, and I don't have to seal my piece. Will I seal my piece after I put all of these colors on? Yes, I'll seal this drawer, and the top. I will not need to seal the rest of the piece because it already has the built-in top coat because I use silk, okay? All right, let's do it. So on the floor, Black Sands, Anchor, Hampton Olive, and then of course one color of milk paint, or not milk paint, chalk mineral paint, which is called chocolate. I wanted to say chocolate milk because it looks pretty chocolatey in there. I have a couple of small artist brushes on the floor. All right, so I'm gonna look at these edges and I'm gonna look at these colors. I'm gonna come in first with my black, which is the black color that's on this piece. Okay, there's gonna be water involved in this, and this is where just becomes fun to play with your paint. I wanna bring in some of the other colors that I have here, and I'm gonna start adding it and kind of taking it back. I want to make this decoupage paper start to disappear. So using my black sands, I know I'm devaluing the fact that it has the built-in top coat and primer by adding water, but I am just blending my image in. So start with black sands, pulling it into the piece, adding it where you want to. If you feel like you put too much on there, it's very easy to either spray your paper towel or spray it and start to blot back. We're gonna start to camouflage this area. I'm gonna work on this drawer first, then I'll come down here and work on this one, okay? So let's work on this drawer to begin with. Small artist brush, let's go in to a little bit of the black sands, because this black sands is a lighter, good Lord, I'm gonna get paint all over my floor. It never fails, make a mess. Let's kind of clean it as we go, because this is already like my third staging floor of the year. I'd like to not have to get another one, so let's just kind of wipe it off as we go along and make a mess. Move my plate closer. So black sands is a little bit lighter, right? It's a little bit more gray. Let's start to make this color come into my decoupage paper a little bit. Okay, we're gonna start to really make this line disappear. You're gonna come back in with your paper towel and your water, putting it on and taking it away. All I wanna do is start to add some of the edge colors into the piece so that when I come in and paint these edges gone, this is how they're gonna go. So this is my black sands. I'm gonna be mixing a bunch of colors. I'm gonna take my Hampton Olive now and put it on my plate. And I'm gonna start to play with this side. This side is a little bit lighter when it comes to the flower. Okay. I need a fancy pants brush holder so I don't make a giant mess. Let's put this on the floor so I can just put my brush on top of it rather than tip everything over. Okay, let's take your paper towel, wet it. Let's start to make this edge get a little bit more blendy. We're gonna soft blend some of these colors in. I know you can see the line right now, but I'm just starting. We're just starting to camouflage. Just starting to camouflage these ends. So Hampton Olive is coming in because that is pretty much like this kind of really pretty green that you're seeing down here. It's just bringing in that value to the piece. I'm going to start to add a little bit of texture by patting my color. And I'm going to come in here with my chocolate, my milky chocolate. Again, just creating like an edge to this drawer. I'm going to put a little bit of the chocolate over here too, because you want the middle to match the ends, if that makes sense. You can't have it be too perfect. So by patting it, I'm creating some texture. I like that chocolate. I feel like the chocolate is a really pretty color. So you're just kind of like, almost like you're just gently bringing the two together. I'm gonna go back to my black sands. And remember, there's gonna be a hardware here too, so it's gonna disappear even more. I wanna take some of that green. You can come in and add some of this green to the leaves. What's gonna happen then is when you do this and you come to the edge, you're gonna be able to almost like add in fake leaves, if that makes sense. You can touch it with your finger, do some finger paint. That's gonna help really blend it. Because this looks like an oil painting, right? This looks like somebody painted this. Let's come back in with the black. Do the same thing. I do like the mashed up paper to help give it that texture. Can you see now how that end is coming into the anchor? How that tiny little bit of blending with the anchor, with the chocolate, with the colors that I have already here on hand, I'm pulling them together. I'm putting some of the color on the piece as I'm moving along. And then I'm also bringing it out to make a new image happen. So now, can you see where I ripped it anymore? Are you able to tell where that ripped line is? I mean, if you came up right like this, real super close, and like did an investigation, you would be able to see. But all of a sudden, this is starting to disappear, right? It's starting to kind of just like totally be blended in to the edges. Almost looks like I hand painted this on here. I did not, but that's okay, I'll take it. Now let's go on this side. And this is definitely a darker area, but I'm still gonna take the different colors and we're gonna mash them in and make that end just disappear. Coming in with that black anchor, which is the original color on the piece. I haven't even washed off my little paintbrush. I'm just making it disappear, right? Just adding a line until it's gone. Touching it, giving it that texture, brings it together. I feel like I want more black over here. I like that black. I'm just gonna touch it until it gets to the image that I want. So now, all of a sudden, this image that was not fitting on your drawer, right? This image didn't fit the drawer. You've painted it in. I'm gonna show you what the hardware looks like so that you can get a better idea. Of course, I've gone over top of the actual holes, but let's pretend a little bit. Let's see if I can get that to stay there. Yikes, stay. It's not gonna stay. Pretend that the hardware is, it's gonna fall. Pretend that the hardware is here and here. Can you see the edge now? There it goes, told you it was gonna fall. Can you see the edge? Because it comes together and becomes one with the piece. If you want to keep going, what I like to do is actually add a little bit of dry brushing. Once this dries a little bit, I can come back in here with my darker colors. I can come back in here with some black wax if I wanted. The black wax in the corners will really help that come together as well. I want to put a little bit more black over here. I'm super happy with the way that that drawer looks. I've painted it into the piece. You can't tell where I tore those edges. What do we think? Do you like it? I didn't have my glasses. Very pretty. Thank you, Jacqueline. I'll bring you in closer so you can have another look, okay? So now those edges from where I ripped that decoupage paper have gone. Where'd they go? It's like magic, magic. If you cut your paper, this will be harder. Because I ripped it, it had more of an organic feel. Again, this is still damp. This is still gonna lighten in value and color. You're going to be able to make it disappear. Let's do the bottom drawer, okay? Just push that in for here. Remembering I'm gonna sand off that paper once it gets 100% dry off the bottom. I like it, I like it. Okay, let's do this side because it was easier. So this side had a little bit more anchor. Remember, you're also gonna bring some of that color that you had on the sides into your painting, right? Into your decoupage. Because by blending it in and putting some of that color that you're using on the sides, makes it look even more hand painted, right? You're just adding the same darker values onto the interior of the piece where maybe they weren't before. So let's see what we can get over here. This one's gonna be quite easy actually. Because can you see how that flower kind of comes out? I'm gonna take my paper towel because this image looks like an oil painting, like it has a texture to it. So by adding the paper towel texture, it's just gonna blend that completely in. It's already gone. It's already gone. Where'd it go? So easy, right? This side's gonna be easy as well. This is the hardest because of that image, because of the flower. I mean, you can come in here even with gold mousse if you wanted and add some edges to it. You could hand paint some gold in there. So easy. So really the big trick is to take the original color, which on this piece is Anchor, and kind of bring some of that color into this decoupage. By bringing this color into the decoupage, okay? By bringing it in, you're creating an illusion that it's all one painted piece. I see comments. I know I'm missing them, but I can't see that far. The camera's pretty far away from my little face. And I don't know where my glasses are because that would mean I would not lose things every day like I do. They're somewhere in here. So I'm just gonna take that Anchor, let's paint that image on. So I'm gonna take that black and really pat it. Now let's take this end and add some of that pretty Hampton Olive over here. Let's bring some of that out. Again, you can wet your paper towel. And remember, your hardware is going over top, right? Your hardware will be over top of this entire area here and here, which will blend it away even further. Let's add some of that chocolate down here. And voila, it is gone. That line is now gone. You cannot see where that decoupage paper began and where it ended. Let's bring some of that brown up here. It's gone. All of a sudden, this image has been painted into the piece. You can do a little bit of dry brushing once this dries. And by dry brushing, that's going to allow your paint colors to even come together more. It's going to make it look even more hand painted and perfect. But get in there, get your fingers in it, touch it, move it around. Like this is art, people. This is art. And you can do this. This is not hard. This is just taking the original color, which is Anchor, and then taking the colors you see in here. So I opened Hampton Olive, I opened Chocolate, and I opened Black Sands. So this image is now on my piece. Once it's 100% dry, I will come down here. I will gently sand off that bottom bit of paper that's hanging on the bottom here. I usually don't do it until it's 100% dry, but I might be able to show you. Let's see if I have any sandpaper down here. So by rubbing your paper with look, I couldn't even see, I was doing it over here and there's no paper because I couldn't see where I ripped it. The paper's all the way over here. By rubbing your paper, you can gently, see, it comes right off. It makes that line very easy, but I'm gonna wait until it's 100% dry because it's best to wait till it's dry. But how funny, I totally started rubbing over here because I was like, oh, the image must be over here. It's not. I just painted it in and now it looks like it is. So let's do the same thing to the top, shall we? I'm gonna actually put some of this color onto the plate because I don't think we're gonna need to go up and down with our paint colors. So let's add some chocolate. Let's add some Hampton Olive. And yes, I know I'm making a mess, but yo, this is the way we roll around here. We're messy people. Okay, so now I've got all of my paint colors here. I've got my Anchor, Hampton Olive, Chocolate, and Black Sands. I will put a paper towel because I know I'm gonna make a mess. And let's do the same thing to the top. I'm also gonna hit it probably with my heat gun because it is going to be probably still a little wet up there. Let's see what's happening, shall we? Shall we go up? Let's move these things over because I still wanna actually do some stenciling. I kept out that beautiful stencil. I would love to add this on top, and we could even do it down here once this dries with like a little bit of gold, maybe some gilding wax to peek through. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's gonna look so good. It's gonna look so good. So let's use this over here and let's come back up and see what we can do with our ballerina at the top, shall we? I have a chair and I will bring you in closer so we can do some blending together. Let's see, you're late. What am I doing in the top drawer? Right now, the top drawer is staying naked. I'm gonna leave it black. And here's where you all come in. Should I stripe the top drawer in gold? I mean, I think I should, but I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. I can do stripes with Moonshine Metallics in gold, and then that way it sits as an accent drawer above the two bottom drawers, which have the florals on them. Could be an option. We will see. Oh yeah, see, with the gold gilding wax, we're gonna play with some stuff, y'all. I actually have gold on the floor, and I kind of wanted to do a lighter kind of a stencil with the black sands over top, but we'll see. So this isn't dry yet. You can see how she's still dark, but we're not gonna work on her 100%. We're gonna work on the edge. So I'm gonna get some paper towel and try and clean off my brush a little bit because I just used scoop all the colors on there. Let's try and clean it a tiny bit. Okay, so I just have a little artist brush, all right? And I'm going to come in with my blackest black, which is what the original color of this piece is, right? The original piece is painted in Anchor. You guys close enough? Can you see? So it's an Anchor right here. This is an Anchor base. I'm gonna come around the edges and we're gonna start to really, and this is also why I kill all my brushes because I like mash them around. I just kind of destroy all of my things. So I'm gonna take this black Anchor and just start to really dab it in. I might not even use the other colors. I might not. This is actually blending in quite easy because she's the lighter value, right? And by kind of dropping on the paint like this, you're blending her into what's happening on the table. Yeah, y'all, I think I might just keep it as Anchor. Can you see how that's disappeared now? See this edge? Let me lift you up right directly over top. Can you see that now? Where's the edge? Like it just disappears. So the fact that we're gonna even add a stencil over top of this whole thing is gonna disappear. It's gonna be perfect. See, it went from here, which is the ripped area, to just adding the original color, which is Anchor, over top of the edges, and then it disappears right into the piece. I put all these colors on my little tray over here thinking this is what I would do, and I probably will not. I'll probably just use my black Anchor. I can come down here and add a bit of the Anchor over on this side. What's gonna happen is that's gonna help her blend 100% into the piece. So going over top of the edge, I'm also stippling my paint on so it becomes a little bit more textured. I see a little edge here that's not adhering well. Let's get into there with some clear coat and get it to stick. I'm gonna actually take a little bit of this Black Sands, which is the lighter color, and let's start to just add some more texture. So it's not 100% Anchor. Okay, so I'm just taking a tiny bit of the Black Sands and we're just gonna mash it in. You can go back with your paper towel, remember? You can use your paper towel as your tool to really help pull those colors and make them look hand painted, adding that texture. I'm going back in with the black Anchor. I'm gonna come right up to this edge. We're gonna like pretend faux paint her the whole way in. Get in there with your fingers, move it around. Make that line not as perfect. Does that make sense? I know it seems like I'm being crazy right now, touching it, but I don't want it to sit so even Steven. I want a kind of a textured edge to the piece. Come in on the corners down here where any of these edges are blending. Make sure that you're blending her in 100%. Okay, so now I've made a mess, but this means that I'm doing a good job. If you're not messy, you're probably not doing it right. Let me grab that, because when I threw my paper towel, chuck that again, and we're gonna pick you up so that you can see how she went from being having an edge to be blended in. Do you see how pretty she is? Let's talk stencils before you go. Let's talk about how we're going to add a stencil to this piece. And while I do that, I'm going to hit her with the dryer because she needs to be a little bit more dry before I'm going to put a stencil on there. So let's dry that edge. So, original color on this piece is Anchor. Anchor is a silk paint. The reason I chose silk paint was because this piece was cherry and I wanted to blend these two decoupage images in without any bleed through. So using Anchor in silk mineral paint allows me to not have any bleed through on my piece. I adhered my decoupage paper with clear coat in flat. The reason I chose flat is because I don't want any shiny surface. I wanted to paint her edges in. Colors that I used to paint her in is the original Anchor, as well as Hampton Olive, black sands, and a little bit of chocolate. Okay, all the colors that you would see on this piece, right? Any colors that you see in here of her, those are the colors that if you choose the colors that she has, you're going to be able to really make her disappear. She's still wet technically because it's quite a thick layer of clear coat, but the drier she gets, the lighter she's going to get. Okay, so now that this is dry, more so on the top, my plan is to add a stencil. Okay, so I have on the floor my best dang brush. Best dang brush. Best dang brush for stenciling is my new favorite thing because it's flat. See how flat it is? So you're going to take your brush and you're going to take your stencil and you're going to take your paint. You're going to dab your paint minimally onto the surface. What this is going to do is, again, take this line that we've blended in, right? Because this image is smaller than the entire top of the table. So this image is smaller, which means we need to make it disappear. This is how you're going to do it. You're going to paint her edges in, and we're going to do even more disguising with the stencil. This stencil is in stock if you're looking for it, and I think you're going to want to buy it. Hold it, let me get out. Because it's actually really super pretty. This is the Victorian Damask stencil. It's one of the newer ones, and I really like it, okay? So this is what we're going to do. The Victorian Damask stencil is going to be brought in from this edge, stenciled in a lighter color than Anchor. I might even mix Anchor and black sands. I'm going to bring it all the way into here, maybe up here. I don't want to cover her, but I will cover this seam, okay? So things you're going to need for stenciling, and mine, of course, sir, on the floor, is paper towel. Where's all my paper towel? I bet you like sitting right over top of it. You need paper towel, and you're going to need the colors that you're choosing, okay? So let me move this over. I've got my paper towel because you're going to want to blot off your excess amount of paint. The color I would like to use today for my stencil is to probably choose this next lighter color, black sands. So how shall we do this and not make a mess? I'm going to do it on the floor, okay? You're not going to see what I'm doing, but it's going to be the only way that I'm going to get this done. Because if I start putting things on top of this table, you guys know I'm going to make the biggest mess you've ever seen. So I'm going to put some black sands onto my little plate down here. Along with my black sands, I'm also going to mix in the original color, which is Anchor, okay? So now on the floor, I have black sands and I have Anchor. I'm going to take my best dang brush for stenciling. I'm going to dip it into my paint lightly. I'm then going to take it and I'm going to mash it off because you need a little amount for stenciling, okay? This is going to allow me to create almost like a shadowy stencil because the base is Anchor. We're going to now blend this stencil all the way up, okay? So tap, tap, tapping it down. color that's on her, but it's not. It's a little bit lighter. Using that black sands has a bit more of a gray color to it. How obnoxiously loud is this? Is it really loud? I'm so sorry. And I'm just gonna keep going. I haven't even re-dipped my brush yet. I love this brush for stenciling. My arm is starting to hurt, not gonna lie. This is a little bit hard on the arm muscles. This is a heavy, big brush. Don't move your stencil, move your hand, and let's do it over here. Okay, so I mixed black sands and Anchor, which is the original color, to create a shadowy stencil. Can you see it now? How cute, right? How stinking cute. I'm gonna put you back down and I'm gonna try to continue the same pattern, just a little bit more up here. So I'm gonna re-dip my brush. I'm gonna blot it off and I'm gonna have to stand up because I need to kind of line this up. So I can see this here. Let's see where the other half of that is. It's so hard to see. I wonder if I can just do it. Let's see. That's not gonna work. I don't wanna put it over top of like the wet stuff that I just did. I just wanna like gently continue the stencil all the way across. Okay. Now we're in business. Okay, so I'm not gonna go over top of her, okay? I'm just going kind of up here where the edge is. See how it comes all the way over? I'm actually not even done. I'm gonna come over even over here and just kind of gently finish this pattern. And I might even take a tiny bit of this little bit right here. Okay, so now let me put the stencil down. Y'all, I'm a hot mess. Now I'm gonna lift you up and show you what's happened. So we took the ballerina paper, we put her in the corner, we blended her ripped edges in with the original color, which was Anchor. I then took that beautiful Victorian stencil with a little bit of black sands, with a little bit of Anchor, and created this shadowy effect all the way across the top of the table. All of a sudden, she looks like she lives there on the piece. Do you like it? What do you think? Throw me some hearts, throw me some love. Isn't it cute? Can you tell? Can you tell that I decoupaged her on there? Because unless you come in really close, you're not gonna be able to see where she begins and where the table begins, because I'm still gonna seal 100% over top of all of it. I'm boiling hot. What do you think? It's so cute, right? It's so cute. I think that this is a simple way for you to learn how to disguise your stencil edges, or your decoupage edges with stencil and with paint. So down here now, when you come down to the bottom, remember we did the bottom two drawers with the floral image. I have to wait for it to dry. Should I do the same stencil in the bottom two drawers? I think we should. I think that's a great idea. Why don't I see if I can come down here and do it real quick? Because why not? Y'all, there's so much paint on the floor. You have no idea the mess that I've made today. So much of a mess. Let me move this over. Because in but 1 second, my microphone's going to be stuck inside of paint. Whoosh! Okay, let's add a little bit, just a bit, of that stencil, of that faded stencil. Because I have my paper towel here. I'm going to mix a tiny bit of that black sands with the Anchor on my brush, okay? I'm gonna blot it off, and I'm gonna take my stencil, and we're gonna make some magic happen. So you can wash these stencils in the sink with your scrubby soap. You can wash them outside with the hose. It's entirely up to you, however you want to do it. Let's add some faded. I don't want the whole thing, just like a little bit here and there, just to see what'll happen on the drawer. Just a little bit of stencil action is going to disguise that edge even more. Look at that. Look at that. So pretty. Oh my gosh, my table is 1 second away from falling off. This tiny little, there, let's save the day. Let's do one more over here. Remember, these are very close in colors. It's just a mix of my color that I used, Anchor and a little bit of black sand. All of a sudden, now this looks like a 100% hand-painted piece. Holy smokes, it's so cute.
After I finished painting the base, I decided to paint some stripes on the top drawer with Gold Digger Moonshine Metallics. I decided even though I touched it up, it was much too bright, so I ended up painting over with a coat of Anchor. This dulled the finish a little bit. I then took my stencil and added the same black sands over top of the faded stripes. Then I was done.